and just put that there. Thank you. So I will turn her face this way. I've got a pretty soft rainbow from a Rainbow Cake Fusion one palette. So this is going to be a very soft lily painting. So, oops, just bringing that round there. A bit more pink. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of a stencil on. And I've got these stencils, which are little mini BAM stencils. And for those, you can either use, I can't find it now, you can either use a smoothie blender, which I cannot find, here we go. So sometimes it's nice to be able to just use these with just an eyeshadow palette and a smoothie blender. So I'm going to just get a tiny bit of purple, I think, and I'm going to use this spotty, I don't know if you can see that, kind of a spotty swirls, and you can just rub that on. If you haven't got an eyeshadow palette, you can always use paint and a little finger dauber as well, but this is a very soft, very subtle effect, and obviously it doesn't run underneath where the paint's wet. So I'm just adding a little bit all around. There we go. Just a little highlight. Most probably lots of that's going to get covered up, but it's nice to have a tiny bit showing at the end. Okay, and then I'm going to use a pinky purple and my 5/8 Verona brush. Forgot which one I said I was going to use. There we go. So I'm loading white onto the long edge, and I'm going to make a little lily shape. So point it up like that, and then bring it round. My brush is a bit dry. So let me do that, and bring that round. So we've got a nice lily shape there, and then I'm going to put another one. So I do a longer edge and a short edge. Right, so we've gone in there, so we've got this round that comes round, and then I just go back in and do a little fold like that, so that we can put that there. I know she likes them hanging down, but so we've got our two little lilies there, and maybe just going to get one more smaller one just in front. So just another little one in there. So they're kind of all stacked on top of each other. There. I'm fiddling. So there. So we've got the three little lilies all pointing out to the side. I'm going to get a green one stroke with the same brush. I'm just going to use the same brush, but this green one stroke's got a white on the outer edge rather than dark, sorry, that one there, just to give it a softer effect than having the dark edge of a leaf instead. And so then I'm going to just pull a little leaf out to the side to frame the lilies, and another one, and then we're going to bring one just a little like that, and I will use the edge of my brush to pull some little flowy bits down like that. And I think I'm going to put one here as well, just to highlight those ones. Oops. And I'm just kind of nestling them all around like that. And then while I'm here, I should change brushes really, but as it's already on my brush, I've pulled a couple of little leaves into the corner there, and I'll just kind of pull some little lines like so. There. So I hope you saw that. Okay. And then I'm going to take a dagger brush, the most underrated, underused brush. I'll get one of these, and I will get a slightly, I'm going to load this one in a one stroke, but with a slightly darker edge, just to mix things up. And this you can just pull the most sharp edges and lines, and you just kind of lay it down. And it's a really good brush to have a little practice with, because you just pull it on its sharp edge and you can get such lovely, very delicate leaves. So let me just zoom a tiny bit more. There we go. See, so we've got the light coloured leaves underneath, and then some smaller ones on the top. And I'm just going to show you on my hand, or on my arm. Let me just come right in front of Heidi's face. But you just pull the brush, pull, and then flatten and pull. And see, you can get these wonderful lines. That's using the very point, and then you can go all ways. You just flatten it and pull it out, flatten, and then come up onto its tip, and you can just see what brilliant little leaves you can get. Always pull this brush, you cannot push it, you always have to pull it. So that's a dagger brush. If you've got one in your kit that you've never used, I recommend having a little play with it. Right, what else shall we do? So let's put some white line work on here, seeing as we're going for a very light kind of fairy, sort of pretty flowery design. So I've got my DFX white, my Flora Round number 2, and I'm going to be pulling some little white lines, and you can just pull and drag and drop, drag and drop. So these little lines, just make these little flicks. That's the beauty of a little round brush. So you can drop and then flick. It's not really a drag and drop, it's a drop and a flick. So just pulling some very delicate little lines and repeating in there as well. So we have some nice little bits of line work there. I'm going to do some more line work in a darker colour, maybe a purpley colour as well. Obviously, if you're rushing, you would only just do one lot of line work. You wouldn't do 2 or 3. But if you've got the time, you can keep layering your line work and just keep playing with it. So I'm just pulling around. So just mixing my line work into flicks and drops and things like that. So that is all there. You notice I always do my line work first before I do any petals, and there's a reason for that. As you can see, all your line work beginnings can be quite messy because they're all kind of starting at a slightly different place, and so that's why I always do my line work first and then cover up the line endings with petals. So I'm using my white, and I'm going to get some bright pink. So loading the tip with bright pink and then a little bit of purple, which is the purple that I used for the line work. So I'm just triple dipping my Leanne Courtney flower brush, and this is where we're going to put our little layers of little flowers. So just wrap them around there. Always some in here as well, and then just turn the brush on its side so you get these nice different shaped petals. So that's there, and I'll just maybe nestle a couple of those in there. But you can see you can get such a variation of petal shapes, just lovely. I'm going to take that all the way around there, and maybe one more there. Can't stop. There we go. So that is really pretty. So you've got the little lilies, and then all those lovely petals. And then lastly, we will put some dots, and this time I will use some white on my number 5 actually, round brush. 4 or 5 makes no difference. On my round brush, King Art, and I'm going to add my little filler dots. You can do some little dots inside those lilies as well, to act as the kind of that little stamen that goes in the lilies, and just little tiny clusters we work around. Put some in here, some in here. So you can see we've pretty much covered the stencil, but there is a tiny little bit just showing through, and that's the nice thing, because you can look at it for a long time and still notice things that you didn't notice first time round. So dots in clusters, but also little lines. And there we are. Isn't that beautiful? So that is another one that you can use on the job fairly quickly, but you see, as it's all tight to the eye, connected one side to the other. Obviously I wouldn't do this if someone's wearing glasses, because that's just going to smudge as soon as they put the glasses back on. But as Heidi isn't wearing glasses, we can play. So there we are. So that is our, another eye design. Very beautiful. I like that one. So for this next